Chair Harper, we are live.
Thank you so much, Rick. Welcome, everybody, to the Tennessee Tech Board, special call board meeting of the Tennessee Tech Board of Trustees. I need to make a couple of announcements. I will tell you that this meeting is being streamed live on the internet, and the public has been given notice through the Herald-Citizen newspaper and on the board's webpage of when and where to access the live stream. The board is streaming its proceedings live to ensure that the requirements of Tennessee's Open Meetings Act are met. Members of the public are viewing this meeting, but trustees will not see them on their screen. Trustees, to minimize background noise, I ask that you please mute your microphones when not speaking. I will call us to order, and I'll ask Mr. Ray to do a roll call, please.
Trustee Alcott.
Present.
Trustee Jones.
Here.
Trustee Lowery.
Here.
Trustee Lynn.
Here.
Trustee Rose.
Here.
Trustee Stites.
Here.
Trustee Van Hooser.
Here.
Trustee Willis.
Here.
Trustee Wilmore.
Here.
Trustee Harper.
Here.
All present except Trustee Stites. You have a quorum.
I thought I heard somebody respond after Trustee Stites. Was that just an echo?
I think that was Trustee Rose twice.
I think that's right. Okay, thank you all. All right, hopefully Trustee Stites will be able to join us. The first item on the agenda is a determination of necessity for this meeting. So I will remind you that pursuant to Tennessee Code Annotated Section 8-44-108B3, if a physical quorum is not present at the location of a meeting of a governing body, then in order for a quorum of members to participate by electronic or other means of communication, the governing body must make a determination that a necessity exists. And the facts that necessitate a meeting without a quorum physically present today are: number one, the board is required to consider the important and time-sensitive matter of considering a name for the new engineering building. Number two, the board is meeting via teleconference in recognition of the need to act on this important matter. And number three, these facts and circumstances necessitate a meeting without a quorum physically present. So I would entertain a motion that we determine that a necessity exists to allow board members to participate by electronic means.
Madam Chairman, based on the facts presented by Chair Harper, I move the board determine that a necessity exists to allow board members to participate by electronic means.
Thank you, Trustee Jones. I'm sorry, I'm having a mental blank. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Van Hooser. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I believe I need a roll call vote. Is that right, Lee?
Correct. Yes. Professor Alcott.
Approved.
Trustee Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Lowery.
Aye.
Trustee Lynn.
Aye.
Trustee Rose.
Aye.
Trustee Stites. Trustee Van Hooser.
Aye.
Trustee Wilmore.
Aye.
Chair Harper.
Aye.
Unanimous vote, Madam Chair. Motion carries.
Thank you. So our next item is the naming opportunity for which this meeting was called. And I will tell you that I am personally extraordinarily excited about having a new engineering building on this campus. I think it's been a number of us went to school here and studied in those same buildings that are still there today. And they weren't new when we were here. And we're pretty old. So it's okay, not all of us, but some of us are kind of old. So we're very excited about this. I think this is a great first step in the process. And so pleased with the university and the work that's been done by the president and Dr. Braswell and his team in raising the funds for this, not the least of which were from our very dear friend, Mr. Ashraf Islam. And so I'm pleased about what we're about to do today. I need to remind you that we have supporting documents for this decision and our naming policy that are in diligent. But I'm going to just read to you policy 537, section D, which is the relevant section of the policy for today's discussion. And that says, paragraph 3, with respect to naming opportunities on Tennessee Tech's campus, special consideration shall be given to A, the historical significance of the contribution of the individual or group to Tennessee Tech. B, individuals that signify an association with either the history of the university or the nation, or with the advancement of knowledge and learning that will remain memorable long beyond the lifetime of those who propose the name. And C, any financial contribution of the individual or group to the institution as outlined in the TTU Foundation's naming guidelines document. So, Dr. Oldham, I turn this over to you and ask you to share with us some background on this naming opportunity.
Thank you, Chair Harper. It's really an honor and a privilege for me to make this recommendation to the Board of Trustees today to recognize Mr. Ashraf Islam, 1968 civil engineering graduate of Tennessee Tech. Mr. Islam went on to establish a construction company in Houston, Texas, AIA Incorporated in 1985, and that has subsequently been leveraged into a multi-corporate entity, Consor, where he is the co-chairman of that entity. He was recognized in 2002 as an engineer of distinction at Tennessee Tech and has been actively involved in our Tennessee Tech University Foundation, as well as civil and environmental engineering advisory boards for approximately 20 years now. So he's been recognized by multiple organizations within the Houston, Texas and broader Texas community. He's been recognized here on campus for his contributions, and he has pledged a significant $3 million gift to the engineering building. So it's really a pleasure to recognize Mr. Islam with this naming opportunity.
Thank you for that, Dr. Oldham. And I can say, and I know Tom has also worked with Ashraf through the foundation board, and he's been a big supporter of the university, not just in his resources, but in his time and effort as well. And that's a very important part of his commitment to the university, I know. Are there any questions for Dr. Oldham? If there are no questions, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the naming of the new engineering building.
Madam Chairman, as an engineer and a graduate of Tennessee Tech, I'm actually very proud to make a motion that the new engineering building be named the Ashraf Islam Engineering Building in honor of Tennessee Tech alumnus Ashraf Islam, Civil Engineering Class of 1968. And just again, to put in my 2 cents, it's a tremendous contribution. And to someone that graduated from Tennessee Tech when I was 4 years old and made tremendous contributions throughout his career just to our society. And that's what we want from our engineers. That's the goal. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Is there a second to the motion?
I second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Lowery. And I would note you're also a proud engineering alumnus as well, correct?
That is correct. I'm very proud.
And I know you all hear this from me a lot, but those of us that are engineers on this board are so proud of this opportunity with this new building. Is there a further discussion?
I have a point of question. I'm wondering, since the industry standard for naming buildings is usually 25 to 65%, I was wondering if there was comment from Mr. Braswell or the president as to, how it is that we're approaching this and the importance. And also, just to remind you all that my father was an engineer, so I think this is a great thing too.
Well, we'll count you as one of ours if you'll let us, Professor Alcott.
My dad would love that.
We would love that too. And we like to have creative people. We're not so creative generally. I'm sorry, Dr. Oldham, you want to address the question about the policy?
I'll be glad to, Professor Alcott. I appreciate the question. So, there's a there is some industry loose standards, as you indicate, that there has not been a lengthy history of significant gifts for naming buildings at Tennessee Tech. And so in our conversations and discussions regarding this, clearly this is a very substantial gift. And it's a very important gift to help us reach the goals for the engineering building. And so we felt like it was within the reasonable range of naming a building here at Tennessee Tech based on our history and based on the significance for this particular building. I think as time goes on, we will probably see the value of those naming opportunities continue to grow in value. And so in the future, there probably will be larger gifts, but for this time and this place, this is a very significant gift and worthy of the naming opportunity. So I do appreciate the question, but I think it's appropriate in this situation.
Thank you.
That was a great
Question,
question.
Dr. Oldham, to follow that question, what percentage of the engineering building is funded privately versus funded by the state?
So we were required to have I don't know if Dr. Stinson's on the call or not. I think it was about a 5% match was required by the state. We have raised more than enough to make that, but we have additional needs with the building beyond enhancements to the building that the designers and the engineering faculty have planned into the project that this will allow us to satisfy. And so it's really those enhancements that become very important in the long term. So we have raised something over $9 million. So roughly, Mr. Islam's gift is about a third of the private fundraising that has been committed to date. So it's a pretty substantial lead gift for the building.
That was my point that I wanted to get to. I mean, it's if we're raising $9 million, he's contributed a third of that.
Mm-hmm.
So
I had a conversation with Dr. Oldham just recently, and he was saying we were over $9 million in commitments. And he said, "Did you think we were going to get there?" I said, "I prayed and I begged and I held my breath and I did my part, but I couldn't get us to there." So I'm delighted that Ashraf was able to do what he was able to do.
And if I could add to that, Chair Harper, every donor to this project is important. I mean, we're certainly talking about Ashraf here, and his lead gift is extremely important. But we've had dozens of donors to step up to get us to this point, and without naming names, there's a few on this call, in fact, but there's a few that stepped up very early and made very substantial gifts. At a time that was incredibly pivotal and important, that we probably wouldn't be sitting here today on the eve of breaking ground on this building if some of those individuals hadn't stepped up early. And although we're talking about Ashraf Islam today, all the donors are important and have played a very important role in making this possible.
All right. Are there other questions or comments?
I'd like to make a comment. It's obvious that we dwell on the current donation that he's making, but his cumulative effort, I assume, has led up to also considering naming the building after him. So is there any comments about some of the other influences or work he's done for Tech that also figures into this contribution?
Well, yeah, thanks, Thomas, for that. As I indicated, Ashraf has been engaged with the university for probably well over 20 years now on multiple advisory boards, and particularly with the foundation board. and his personal contributions as well as his time and effort to help Tennessee Tech has been significant. I know he's hosted events at his personal home in Houston for alumni gatherings, and he's been very helpful for many years to Tennessee Tech. He really is purple and gold, and has gone out of his way on multiple occasions to help out his alma mater. So yeah, thank you for that question.
Are there any other questions or comments? These are all great. We're celebrating an important man today. All right, if I don't hear any other questions or comments, I will ask for a roll call vote. Mr. Ray?
Yes, this is a vote on the motion, the naming motion.
Yes, let me just remind everybody, because it's been a couple of minutes, that the motion that made by Mr. Jones was that the new engineering building be named the Ashraf Islam Engineering Building in honor of Tennessee Tech alumnus Ashraf Islam, civil engineering graduate from the class of 1968.
Trustee Alcott,
Aye.
Trustee Jones,
Aye.
Trustee Lowery,
Aye.
Trustee Lynn,
Aye.
Trustee Rose,
Aye.
Trustee Stites, Trustee Van Hooser,
Aye.
Trustee Wilmore,
Aye.
Trustee Harper.
Very solid aye.
Madam Chair, the motion passes, but I need to take care of one housekeeping matter. As everyone's familiar, we verify electronic participation, which I should have done on the roll call. Professor Alcott and Hannah, Ms. Willis. This just verifies, one, that you can simultaneously hear and speak to the board members, that you confirm you received the board materials in advance of the meeting, and identify anybody in the room with you. So I'll go through the roll and answer yes, and if there is anybody with you, let me know that person. Trustee Alcott.
Yes, and I'm alone.
Trustee Jones.
I can hear, see, and I am alone.
Trustee Lowery.
Yes, and I am alone.
Trustee Lynn.
Yes, I'm alone.
Trustee Rose.
Yes, and I'm alone.
Trustee Van Hooser.
Yes, and I'm alone.
Trustee Willis.
Yes, and I'm alone.
Trustee Wilmore.
Yes, just me.
And Trustee Harper, I see you. I know where you are.
And I'm sorry, I should know. Will
Hofford.
Will is with me in the room as well, taking care of our technical needs. Thank you, Will. I'm sorry, I should know that, and I just blanked.
Thank you, and I apologize for not doing that.
No problem, no problem. All right. Is there any other business? I have just a housekeeping matter I wanted to bring up. And Lee, I had some notes on this, and then I think I've put them away. For our next board meeting, let me back up and say our next information meeting, before I adjourn us, I want to tell you about our next information meeting. We are scheduled to, I've suggested, we've had a couple of heavy lifting kind of meetings where we talked about some things that were a little meatier. I've asked for an information session on student life. And I suggested that in particular, we should probably see what a dorm looks like, and we should eat in the cafeteria and just get a sense of what the students live with every day. We also have Dr. Cynthia Polk Johnson now with us, and I've asked her to be part of that information session. We wanted to do that, but obviously to do that in an off cycle or not on a board meeting is hard to get people to campus for. So I think what you're planning, Mr. Ray, is to incorporate part of that, the field trip part of that in with our next board meeting, right? We're going to have maybe the night before the board meeting, we'll have some show and tell with dorm rooms and things. And then that day we're going to eat lunch in the cafeteria with the students. Is that correct?
Correct. So the board meeting is October the 7th, the Thursday. The Wednesday night before, there'll be a board social in Stone Cipher lobby. Prior to that, we will do tour of the residence halls. Dr. Polk Johnson, I'm notifying you of that now. And the next day for lunch, as part of the regular board meeting, you all, the trustees, not the rest of us, but the trustees will eat in the cafeteria that day with the students, go through the regular lines and experience what they do. So this is a board meeting where there's less action items, so we'll be able to manage it better time-wise. So that was a suggestion on how to get you your field trip on site, so that you don't have to come back for the informational meeting, which will be in November, and that could be virtual.
All right, so just thought I'd warn you or advise you so you can be looking forward to it, however you want to think about it. I'm looking forward to it myself. They tore down the dorm I lived in. I pointed that out because, as we know, it didn't have air conditioning. I've only mentioned that maybe at every board meeting since I started. But anyway, all right. Well, thank you all for being part of a special call meeting for a really important purpose. And I don't know about you, but I'm ready to get this building underway.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'll ask one more time. Is there any further business? Then I will call us adjourned. Thank you all so much for your time.
Thank you.